I've been trying to convince folks for the longest time, well, 2 or 3 years now, maybe even longer than that. Live your dreams. And that sounds so simplistic, live your dreams. But I really haven't met anybody that lives their dreams. They're living everybody else's dreams and expectations, but not their own. Well, there might be a few on YouTube. I feel like I'm really the only one that lives my dream. Or the dream, or the American dream, or whatever you want to call it. Everybody else seems to rely on somebody else to take care of them. They're stuck on having other people give them their dream. I just took mine. I mean, look at this. This is my freedom. This is my dream right here. All this firewood. I don't have to rely on anybody. I mean, we got some electric from our solar panels. Really don't need electric other than the refrigerator. The refrigerator is a nicety that we have. The only other thing we'd have to have electricity for is for our well. And if it really got down to the nitty gritty, I could get a hand pump. What do you need? Food, water, shelter, and security. And that's all you need to be happy. I know a lot of people seem to think that you got to have more. I actually did a community tab poll. You go to my YouTube channel, you go over to the community tab, you know, they got several tabs at the top. And you'll see community, you go over there, and I've got all these polls that I've listed. And I even said, all I need to be happy is food, water, shelter, and security. Oh no, I gotta have, you know, whatever. You know, a lot of people bring God into the equation. I gotta have God to be happy. Well, and I don't disagree with that. You gotta have God. That's fine. A lot of people just rely on God to take care of them. I hear that all the time. Oh, I don't worry about preparing for the future. SHTF, you know, stuff hits the fan. God will provide. Well, God is providing. God said, hey, Rob, I see that things are going to go bad in the future. And I'm giving you this knowledge to prepare for that thing. So if you want to stay warm, Rob, go split some firewood. And I'm going to give you the ability to find some property that you can build a little tiny house on. I'm going to give you the tools that you need so you can build it. There's the whole internet. You can go out and research how to build a tiny house. And then if you want to make an old well new again, there's all kinds of videos on YouTube on how to do that. So here's the tools. You just go and do it. But I hear everybody tell me, no, I'll just let God take care of me. Well, he is taking care of you. You just got to open your ears and listen. And then we hear about politicians and taking care of us, and the electric company taking care of us, the water company taking care of us. Everybody's taking care of us. And when they fail, we're all up in arms. We're just mad, 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 mad. So a while back, I made another community tab poll. And I said, can the Republican Party save the economy? And 74% of the people said yes, they can save the economy. Well, here we just had an election. And it would appear that they're not going to be able to save the economy. In order to save the economy, what they would have had to have done is had a supermajority. So they could override vetoes, even if the election results aren't in right now, but even if we do squeak by and the Republicans take the Senate and the House, it's a stalemate. There's nothing going to happen for the next 2 years because every law that is passed will go to the president's desk and be vetoed. The president will continue to do the policies that he's been doing. He'll be making it difficult for the oil companies to produce oil. He'll continue to do all the things that's made the economy terrible. And there'll be nothing the Congress can do about it. So for the last several months, all I've heard is wait for the election, wait for the election. Everything's going to change after the election. Nothing's going to change. They're going to continue to spend money. As of right now, we don't even have a budget for next year. They're working off this, I don't know, amendment or something. So they'll just continue to spend money. Inflation will go up. Now, what could happen is the feds just continue to raise interest rates. Hey, that's good for me. Raise the interest rates because all my money in the savings account is going to make more money. Because I'm debt free, I don't pay interest on my credit cards or a mortgage or a car payment. Everything's paid for. So all my spare money goes to a savings account, and every week or two, I get a new notification from my bank telling me, hey, your interest rates went up. I think I'm like up to 3% now. I mean, it's incredible. So my money's making money. But if you live off credit like most of the country does and like the government does, you can't secure a loan because it's just going to be way too expensive. And the reason the Fed is doing that is they're trying to bring down inflation. The way that works is if you raise interest, that means you're not going out and buying new cars and you're not going out and spending money on credit cards because you can't afford the interest. That means the prices of things are going to have to come down. Inflation drops because it's supply and demand. Less demand, too much supply, prices come down. In order to do that, that means we're going to have a recession if we're not already in one already. We have to have a recession because that means, for example, let's say Ford thinks they're going to sell 100 cars this week. They're not going to sell 100 cars because the interest rates are too high, so people aren't going to go out and buy them. So that means Ford is going to have to lay off people because they have too many cars. They can't keep producing cars. Why produce cars? You got too many already. So now we go into a recession. And again, you're relying on someone else to take care of you. You're relying on the banks to take care of you. And so the only thing you can do is hope and pray that something's going to turn around for you, that things are going to get better because you're not trying to make things better for yourself. I have no worries. The election didn't go like I hoped it had went, but I don't need it to go. I think it was around 2008-ish, somewhere around there. I had decided that all my complaining and all my whining about politics wasn't going to make any difference. There's nothing I could do to make a change. I can go out and vote, so. I can go out and protest, so. Nothing changes. Corrupt politicians, so how am I going to make a difference? I'm not. But I can make a difference in my life. And back then, I decided I was going to buy a piece of property in Alaska and just get away from it. Well, that didn't really pan out. I mean, I still had a family. My daughter was homeschooled, and that just never really panned out. So a few years ago, Carolyn and I decided to hit the road. We were going to travel the country as nomads, but for lack of a better word. And it was okay, but I was still relying on people. You have to rely on people. I got to find water. So that means I got to find someplace who has water. People have to have water. I had to have a place to park my camper. That means I had to have either a RV park or national forest or state park or something. And all the time, people were coming around telling me, you got to leave. You can only stay 2 weeks in this place. And so you're always moving. And it's not really freedom because people are still there telling you what to do, how to manage your life. We bought this piece of property. Now I know first things people are going to say is, you still got to pay taxes. Yep, I got to pay taxes. My taxes are like $40 a year, $45 a year. And it went up. It was in the 20s. I think it was like $26, $23, something like that. But when I built the tiny house, it went up in price. Of course, I improved the well, so I'm sure that counted also. So as long as I can figure out a way to come up with $43 a year, this place is mine. Now, people keep telling me, you need to build more, you need to build more. Build a shed for the firewood. Well, when you really do that kind of studying, you know, the structure would be so large, it would have to have a permit, and then they would come out and tax that also. So it just keeps raising prices. So no, I'm pretty happy with what we got. Trying to stay away from people as much as possible. As I've been preaching all along, if you're not satisfied with what happened in the election, and I suspect that 74% of my audience wasn't satisfied with what happened in the election, that you need to make a change in your life right now. Now, I just watched a video of a guy who lives off grid, and he just said the same thing I've been saying for months. You have equity in your house, so sell your house. If you can get $50,000 out of it, great. Now, what this guy was saying, and I kind of agree with this idea, if you need to, go get yourself an RV and find an area that allows you to park an RV to live in. There's a lot of places in the country that won't let you do it. Even in Florida, my dad was building a house and he had a camper and he was parked there. As long as he had a building permit, he could live in the camper. But as soon as the building permit was done, the house was done, you can only stay in the camper for 2 weeks. But here in this area, you can live in a camper. You can live in a shed. Buy a shed from Home Depot, park it on your property. I got ahead of myself, but if you buy yourself a piece of property, I got this one for $4,200, and then I always hear this, where'd you find that at? Well, it's in Missouri. If you go on Facebook Marketplace, you can find property all the time. Carolyn still finds property all the time. I watched a YouTuber a few years ago. He found property in Tennessee, acre and a half, $4,200. Now the problem I think is a lot of people want more. They want to get out so far away and out around people. Why do you have to do that? I have taught you that you can live on an acre and a half and no one ever bother you. I put a no trespassing sign up. Yeah, I got some neighbors over there and I got some neighbors over here, but who cares? They never bother me. No one ever even waves. I have made it quite plain and clear that I don't want to be bothered. I don't socialize. And so what you're doing by saying I need 20 acres out in the middle of nowhere on a gravel road where no one will bother me, they won't bother you here. The problem is you end up bothering them. What happens is you'll run into a situation, you'll say, well, I need help with that. So you go over to a neighbor's house and you say, hey, I need help with this. Can you help me out? And now you have a bother, because eventually they're going to want to be repaid for helping you. It's just the way it works. But if you truly want to become self-reliant and independent, you can do it all by yourself. And I have proved it. I built a tiny house all by myself. Now, some will argue, well, you have Carolyn. Okay, I have a companion. If you have a companion, then you've met the same criteria that I've met. It can be done. I think a lot of people have a lot of insecurities where they need someone to say, yes, you're doing it correctly. Oh, if I were doing it that way. You know, the one thing that drives me crazy is people giving me their advice when I didn't ask for it. I want to live independent. I want to do things myself. Even if I mess it up, big deal. It's my mess up. I have to fix it. But when people start giving you advice, if I were you, I'd do it this way. Well, okay, then you're going to pay me the money so I can do it that way. So when it fails, I'm not out anything. But if it fails on me, I'm going to take the extra time and effort to make sure it's done right so I don't waste the money. It is hard for me to convince people to just step away from society. Get away from it. Yes, Carolyn and I still go to the grocery store about once a month because we still like to have different flavors of meat. But we certainly don't need to. We're quite content living here on the property all the time. People ask me all the time in the comment section, don't you ever go anywhere? Yeah, we go down into the creek bed and Carolyn's down there cleaning up the chicken coop right now. This is our dream. This is where we want to be. How much better can it be? A lot of people just can't have that. They got to have this and they got to have that. Oh, I really would like to do what you're doing, but I got to have my TV. All I need is water, food, shelter, and security. So if you'll click this up next box, take you to a video where I was talking about taking care of my medical needs on my own. So if I can inspire you to live your dreams. Thanks for watching.